Straw, released June 6, 2025 on Netflix and starring Taraji P. Henson, is more than just a psychological crime drama. It's an unflinching portrayal of the daily struggles faced by many low-income, single black mothers in America. Decider. The film's title alludes to the phrase, "the straw that broke the camel's back," the final burden pushing Jania Wilkinson over the edge. By focusing on a single, catastrophic day in her life, Perry emphasizes how multiple small injustices can accumulate into a life-altering crisis. An ordinary day turned extraordinary. Jania begins her day managing a torrent of hardships: financial insecurity, a sick child, unsympathetic bosses, and predatory landlords. These aren't dramatic plot points. They mirror the lived experiences of many. Whether it's juggling healthcare costs, paychecks that barely cover rent, or being judged by teachers, these consistent pressures echo real systemic failures. This portrayal resonates deeply. Critics note the film's bone-deep empathy for those living below the poverty line. It shows how repeatedly denying dignity through evictions, unpaid wages, or aggressive policing can push someone like Jania to her breaking point, a point that feels all too genuine for many viewers. Systemic injustice, a tangled web. The movie doesn't isolate Jania's collapse to her personal failings. It situates her suffering within larger systems. Eviction threats and substandard housing strip away stability. Workplace injustice and robberies demonstrate economic precarity. Encounters with law enforcement underscore racial bias and vulnerability. These issues aren't cinematic exaggerations. They reflect real-world data on eviction rates, low-wage labor, and black maternal stress. Perry intentionally intertwines multiple systems: housing, health, labor, schools, policing, to show how they compound and trap individuals in cycles of crisis. Mental health and grief, an under-addressed reality. One of Straw's most revealing plot twists isn't the hostage situation, it's Jania's mental collapse. Halfway through, we realize Arya has died, and her presence in earlier scenes was a hallucination. This narrative choice reinforces how unresolved grief and trauma can fracture perception and consequence. It's not melodrama, it's human truth. America's mental health systems, especially for marginalized mothers, are often inaccessible. When services exist, social stigma or logistical barriers prevent utilization. In Jania's case, the film reflects how grief and stress can push a person to a moment of crisis without medical or emotional support, something both heartbreaking and alarmingly common. Solidarity amid crisis. Even within Jania's most desperate moment, Straw highlights empathy and unity. Inside the bank, fellow hostages and manager Nicole, Sherry Shepard, align with her, humanizing her crisis and exposing collective compassion. Outside, community supporters rally behind her, a protest born out of recognition that her breaking point reflects their own frustrations. This interaction isn't cinematic license, it reflects how communities come together during tragedies. Whether through grassroots demonstrations, viral social media campaigns, or personal aid networks, people step up to support those pushed to the brink. Perry effectively demonstrates that systemic injustice can also birth shared resistance. Performance anchored in reality. Critics repeatedly highlight Taraji P. Henson's raw, nuanced portrayal of Jania, emotionally raw and powerful. The emotional authenticity, anger, fear, grief, desperation, is felt, not acted. It's convincing because Henson captures micro-moments many women endure, especially working-class black mothers robbed of time, resources, or dignity. Supporting roles by Shepard and Tiana Taylor as negotiator Detective Raymond, a single mother herself, add depth. These characters aren't caricatures, they reflect real people navigating empathy and survival amid broader systemic pressure. Rooted in inspiration, not biography. Perry didn't base Straw on a single real case, it's fictional. But it draws on his awareness of socioeconomic injustice, particularly among single black mothers navigating poverty. Perry cites his inspiration from a song and his own observations of systemic neglect. Straw isn't just storytelling, it's an intentional social mirror, reflecting collective experiences. Real-life resonance. Why Straw matters. Housing precarity. Evictions, substandard housing, and landlord exploitation aren't cinematic tropes, they're real. Many face the risk of living on the streets over minor rent delays. Financial instability. Living paycheck to paycheck leaves no room for emergencies. Jania's day reflects what happens when several small problems collide. Healthcare barriers. When medical emergencies strike a child, The result is fear, and for many, the knowledge that missing work means losing everything. Systemic racism. Racial profiling by police, disbelief from authority figures, and lack of institutional trust form constants in Jania's world. Mental health crisis. Grief and lack of support create potent catalysts for emotional collapse. Straw reverses the stigma and centers vulnerability. Community and solidarity. Even in crisis, those around us still show up. Straw captures the power of that human instinct. Straw is no masterpiece, but it's a mirror. It reflects the silent suffering of many, forces us to face systemic neglect, and reminds us that behind every bad moment could be someone's final straw. Tyler Perry doesn't solve the problem, but he starts the conversation.